All right. The Black Phone 2.
The blackest phone.
Bigger and blacker. So we're reacting to this one, and then we're doing a podcast about the old one, just in case you're wondering at home. So, initial thoughts on the movie. Just puke 'em, whatever you got.
Yeah, so it's the word vomit. I kind of liked the more like artsy fartsy. I feel like some of these scenes were shot in compared to the first one. A lot of that like film grain static, like not being able to like hear anything. I just thought that that kind of gave it more of like a I don't know, just a different vibe, I think, than what we got out of the first one. Felt like a little bit more intentional, even if it got like a little maybe overused by the end.
It was a vibe check for sure.
Yeah. There's just
I feel
something
like both of these lacked was intensity, and so that leaned that way.
Yeah. And I don't know, there's just something about the aesthetic of like, you know, VHS tapes and just the old school grain that it makes me feel like old school horror a little bit. Even though like tone wise, you know, we're kids at camp, but it's not Camp Crystal Lake, you know, it's like it's not quite
Thank
slasher. But we get like some of those vibes, but yeah, I don't know. I guess a cool mix of maybe some of those old school vibes and the modern age of everything being bright and HD and somehow less scary because you get to see everything clearly.
Yeah. Yeah. I second that. I liked the grainy thing. It was a good effect. Like I said, something these both lacked was intensity, and that was something very advertised in both of them, was a certain intensity about it.
Yeah.
So I was not crazy let down by this one. I think I liked the first better in the way that it was kind of plausible. You know, kids get kidnapped.
Yeah, a little more grounded in reality.
The only thing that was, you know, not so plausible was the whole kids talking to him from beyond, telling him how to get out of there.
They broke some bottles too, I think.
Yes, they did do some things. So I suppose the breadcrumbs were kind of there to do all of the paranormal things that happened in this movie, but
we definitely approached like almost like superhero kind of things. You know what I mean? So where it's like, you know, I am the Black Phone. You know, like I expected a homegirl to don a cape and, you know, this to be a crime noir movie for the second half or something. But
yeah, I mean, it was very much centered in the paranormal side of it in this movie.
Yeah. Which usually when you head that direction, like you get some of that intensity that we see in, you know, some of these horror movies, but still didn't quite hit those peaks you'd expect, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously when, you know, spoilers. But, I mean, if you listened, you probably have a general idea that we're going to spill some shit. So
Imagine.
When she's in the kitchen of the place, getting thrown around and shit's going around. I mean, obviously that is a high intensity moment. Like, oh man, are they going to kill her?
Yeah.
Right? Like, honestly, something about this movie that I thought lacked: casualties very low. I at least thought Barb and her goofy husband were going to die.
Yeah. It would have been worthwhile to it because they contributed nothing to the plot. So it's like they would have been good people to get, again, kind of like that intensity out of it, but then also maybe leaning a little bit more into like that gore even.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we had a couple of cuts. We got some more blood in this one, obviously, much more than what we saw in the first Black Phone. So it's like, all right, guys, let's lean into it. You know, apparently we're cool with killing kids and, you know, showing their blood and guts everywhere, but fuck Barb. You know, let's cut her up.
Let's cut her head off.
Yeah.
I definitely thought they were done for when he skated by.
Yeah, that could have been a throat cut or something. Or just
their heads, but like,
beheading.
Like, apparently, very slick use of the axe. It wasn't, you know, going through him. He just kind of.
He's just teasing.
Yeah.
But I get the other side of it too, is that we can't kill the good Christian woman. You know what I mean?
We can though. I think we can.
But that was probably a conversation with somebody. They were like, "Can we? Does that seem appropriate?" It's like the only woman out of this group that actually seems like has.
It's a horror movie.
Yeah,
No one
is
should
safe.
be safe.
No one should be
Which
safe.
is what I mean. I thought it would have been a good move to kill Gwen. Honestly,
Yeah.
for Finney to survive 2 movies of direct encounters with said grabber.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I love that in a what is supposed to be a horror movie.
Yeah.
You know, casualties were at a low, really, in both films.
Yeah. Unless it's Halloween, we really don't expect you to live that long.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're supposed to recycle it, and in a way, it almost takes, I think, away from the story being about the horror or like the thing that we're actually, I guess, afraid of or in danger of, and then it's just more focused on like the people story, which I think just doesn't tend to land as strongly. When the horror is truly the horror, and that's what the focus is on. I feel like you just get a more probably again like intense story, but like a more fulfilling story because it's just about the story centered around the horror rather than the story centered around some people and bad shit just happens to happen to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely more intense moments in this one than the last.
Yeah.
Finding out that the mother was killed by the grabber.
Yeah, that was wild.
Very
There was
cool.
almost no reason for them to even have that be a thing outside of emotional impact, and
Yeah.
I think it worked well.
Mm-hmm. And some of the, I mean, obviously when she's sleeping and they can't wake her up, and she's being attacked by him, and all this stuff's
Yeah.
going down. Those are decent high intensity moments, and it just, it was definitely. I don't know. I feel like these are probably about even with each other. I don't know how much better you could say one is than the other.
Yeah, it's the utilization of the intensity maybe is like it could have been been done better because I guess again we had some of those high octane scenes, but like there is a little bit of a goofiness factor when it's like her invisibly getting thrown around a kitchen.
Yeah.
And we've seen in like other horror supernatural type movies, like you can make that look really intense and really frightening, with someone just getting tossed around and it's like, boom, big impact, kind of like but this, it just seemed like, the dude was wearing like a, invisible suit, and was just messing around with her.
Yeah.
So like and maybe it's because it looked realistic, like it was he was just a guy that was there and he's a physical object that was able to interact with her, that like it didn't feel as supernatural and just felt like a dude who happened to be invisible.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's kind of where the disconnect came from me on that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and part of it, and underutilized is Ethan Hawke, I feel like, in both of these movies. Very underutilized in this one.
Yeah.
I feel like it's more about them fighting the invisible, because it's not even him for a while. I mean, we don't hear from him till maybe, what would you say, the halfway mark?
Yeah, third
Is the
to
first
halfway.
time Finney's, like, talking to him on the phone. So I feel like he's very underutilized as the main villain. I feel like he needs just a lot more screen time, needs to be involved in both of these plots a lot more.
Yeah.
And part of what would make this kind of intense, scary, etc. is just like he's a very off-putting guy, despite the fact that he's like wearing the mask and like you watch the trailer and you kind of say, oh man, that's somewhat cheesy, right? He's just putting on a Halloween mask and then he's hitting kids or whatever. But
The dream.
Ethan Hawke, I feel like, is very good, a very good actor, and so he really makes it work. He really makes it creepy, and so the presence thing you were talking about, is
100%.
what I was getting at. So we could kind of, we watched it once. It was in the theater, so we don't have notes and everything like that, but we could try to give this a quick grade. Go back to horror grading sheet from a couple years ago, if you're
The good old days.
if you want how we decided this stuff. But excuse me, could we cut significant chunks and get the same story from the plot? This is section 1A, question 1A. It's worth a half a point. What do you think about that? About this question?
I feel like we could still get to roughly the same story with cutting a good chunk of the stuff out.
Yeah.
100%. Like there's so much of the I guess, like extra fluff of the beginning. Now, granted, when we look at the first one too, like big drawn out intro before we really get to anything, but we get the character development. Same thing with this one. It's like we get the intro of like, Finney, he's changed a little bit. Ernesto is a kid we're supposed to care about.
Apparently he's Robin's brother, little brother, yeah.
So it's like we get some stuff I think that's useful for him to be there, but like Ernesto doesn't matter. Like Ernesto contributes nothing outside of just being a love interest for Susie, apparently.
Gwen, yeah.
For Gwen. And you know what I mean? So it's like their whole stuff I feel like could be cut out. So like, yeah, we could probably chop off like a good like 20 minutes of this movie at least of just some of the fluff and I guess like reiterating some of the things we already know with this being the sequel, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Some of Finney's stuff I think you could definitely cut, right? Where he's out there smoking weed and the camp counselor guy comes out there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we are wrong because when he was out smoking weed, we did get to see him seeing the grabber out there and a little bit of dialogue. So like we had not that it was a direct interaction, but he at least had the appearance there.
Yeah. I guess that is significant in them just telling you
the trauma. He's still
very much dealing with this. Yeah. Significant chunks, probably, though. I don't know.
I guess how significant is like 20 minutes worth of it? Because I feel like we could probably get 20 minutes chopped off of that movie and still get it. Oh, yeah.
All right, so what do you think? Like
the Jason hypercut.
We got like 0.25 here?
Yeah.
All right, so 0.25 for the 1A section. And then, so 1B is the story inconsequential to its universe. Definitely not.
Yeah. Everything they did mattered to the people around it involved, so.
Yeah. Even when they went to a new location.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
100%.
All right, so I feel like that gets the full point.
Yeah. Definitely.
1C, what are the rules? What's the gimmick? Do we have too many gimmicks? Originality with the gimmick? Have we seen it before? Lost potential on gimmick, a.k.a. placeholder, crystal skull, bullet, magnets. I shouldn't have read a.k.a. placeholder because we just never came up with a thing. But anyhow, the crystal skull, the magnet, anyway.
Yeah.
You know what it's talking about. Anyway, this is worth up to 2 points. All right, so what is our gimmick?
Our gimmick is them, well, technically both of them by the end of it, right? Being able to hear the phone and being able to talk to the dead kids. But it's mostly centered around Gwen's ability to dream and, kind of relive and receive these memories and messages from dead kids.
Yeah. So I don't feel like it's completely unoriginal, right? I mean, because she has sort of that, it's better than something like a Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about better, because he actively sees it all the time in the Sixth Sense, right? So, but talking to the dead, mostly through your dreams, I don't know. What would you give that on gimmick scale? Like, is it half original?
And I guess we kind of have to look at the utilization of the gimmick too, right? It's like conveniently, I'm going to get spoon-fed all the major plot points and investigation points. The only thing I think that's, a positive in this movie compared to what I'll call out as a negative in the first one is that the plot points that were spoon-fed to Gwen matter and accomplish something.
Yes.
Because in the first one, like, Finn escaped on his own through no help of Gwen whatsoever. Entirely inconsequential.
That's fair.
Second movie, none of this would have been possible without Gwen's abilities.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're at least in the halfway mark to where it's going to get its point. At least it's not the most original idea. It's like I can talk to dead people. I see things in my dream. But at least the utilization of the gimmick I feel like was a little bit better. And then I still like the fact that the phones are still at play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Important. Yeah. So so this is worth up to 2 points. So we think like a 1.5.
I'd say 1.5. Yeah.
Okay. Well, which is it? 1.5.
Let's do 1.5.
Okay. I mean, it could be 1.25.
Nope.
If you feel like it's.
I'm feeling it's 1.5.
Okay. mean, it's important, you know. These half points, they add up. These quarter points add up.
But how many points per dollar? Find out next time.
Yeah. All right, what are the changes made at the end, a.k.a. finale rules, just to wrap something up, worth up to 0.25? This is when, you know, something cheap happens at the end. Finney sort of had a little bit of that, right, where he, you know, is kind of fighting him while he's invisible a little bit.
And again, like,
somehow figures out exactly where his head is to be smashing him through
that,
and all that.
That to me I really struggle with, because again, like, with it being a supernatural thing, it shouldn't be tangible to the layman. You know, it should be a supernatural thing that can act on you, but you necessarily can't act on it, because like that's the point of it being supernatural. It's a one-way door.
Yeah.
Like, essentially, again, this is just an invisible cloak man,
Right.
and I feel like that just really cheapens the story we'd been telling up until this point.
Uh-huh.
So I think it gets shamed for
Zero.
having finale
Zero
points for
out of
sure.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, if you think about both, I can't remember our camp counselor guy's name, the head of the place, and then you know, the dad. Both plunge into the icy lake.
Yeah.
Hypothermia, et cetera, et cetera. You know, we just don't address any of that.
Yeah.
Like you said, and then her moving the barrels in her dream under the water, but then they are coming up in real life, you know, along the lines of what you were saying there. So yeah, I think it does not get an extra 0.25 here. And then plot holes worth up to 0.25. You know, if we're bulletproof here, some are acceptable, but there's a difference between lazy writing and a coincidental plot hole. Kind of along the same lines, I'd say. Well, I mean, how many holes do we really have, though? I guess it's really in that gimmick / finale rules section. I don't know that it gets any extra points here.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. And again, like part of the thing I struggle with is like the what are the rules around the superpowers themselves, anyways?
Yes.
So it's like, you know, it's like
I would like those like laid out, ironed out a little bit.
Yeah.
Not that they should be standing here going like, okay, so
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a big explanation, but yeah, I don't. They were just kind of playing around with it, doing whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we had to have our girl badass moment, you know, where she
Yeah.
Super Saiyans and breaks the phone booth and everything, which I think conceptually was a cool thing to do. Is that was like the a little bit of the portal into like Finney, you know, the grabber, his portal into Finney was through the phone. So Gwen being able to destroy that was like, you know, a little cathartic, a little cool.
And she's having the same moment that like Robin told Finney he'd have to have.
Yeah.
In the first movie, you're gonna have to stand up for yourself one day, and you know, and then Finn, you know, with different wording but same message. You know, fight back, fight back. So they're taking that. It's very, yeah, it is very. I agree.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think any extra points here though.
Nope.
Okay, so number 2, special effects utilized. Nothing looked bad, right?
Yeah.
I'll read the whole thing. The special effects utilize their full potential given the time period, where the kills / scares satisfying or left a lot to be desired, worth up to a point. Nothing looked awful in this.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a kid
have-
chopped up in bits and pieces. So, I mean, like, we had a decent amount of gore and what appeared to be like some practical effects at play. So,
Yeah. I feel like Ethan Hawke's shit was definitely practical.
yeah.
It seemed like, anyhow.
Yeah. And looked pretty good. I mean, again, if the concept was supposed to be that like he was in hell basically and is kind of a crispy nugget, then I feel like they pulled off that visual well.
Yeah. So, and then kills and scares satisfying, left a lot to be desired.
I think I would have liked
kills.
Yeah, lack of kills. I would have liked to see the kids be killed a little bit more rather than just like the kind of hyper zoomed in like implication of death. I know there's generally
I feel like we can't just be slaughtering kids on screen.
I know,
which is why
but
we needed some more adult kills.
yes, but you know, in Halloween we let that one kid, you know, fall over the landing and snap in half.
True.
So it's like we can kill kids, but like, you know, let's push the barriers a little bit.
Also, not a like great thing to bring up. Not something that I was like, you know, oh no, why isn't this a part of the movie? But it does seem odd would imagine you know where I'm going here, but like that this like guy who's like focused on these kids, that it wouldn't be a sexual thing seems a little not plausible. Maybe there are just people that want to kill kids, but I feel like most of these sorts of stories involve like a sexual aspect of it aimed at them.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and then it's more the murder to get rid of them. So it's a unique one that he's all in the kill.
It's kind of where we go back to the plot holes, because like fundamentally, what is the grabber's reason for acting in this way, and like what was the catalyst for these first kills?
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like that's still kind of the gap, and something that could explain why it's more like murder focused rather than something being like sexual exploitation. But we just don't know his backstory, like what his kind of motivations are.
By the way, I don't want another movie explaining his backstory.
Yeah.
I just feel like...
But you know, statistically, we like to milk our IPs. So.
If this did well, they're going to have a third
there's
one.
definitely going to be a third one. It's going to be the flashback. It's going to be the mom. We're going to get the whole shebang.
I do feel like this movie would have been better served when you're talking about an origin story. He's back at the camp. You know, instead of giving him this like, oh, he was a great skater, he was Wild Bill, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
What if they're like, oh, well, like they made fun of him. He was always the dunce.
Yeah.
He was always made fun of. You know, for this cool guy to just be like, I just want to kill kids. You know, it's like seemingly like an okay dude.
Yeah.
Everybody
He
likes
should have
him.
been a red flag, but he was presented as like, oh, no, Bill's chill.
Right.
Chill Bill.
Like, yeah, you should explain to us a little bit of why he's doing it. Like, obviously, anybody that's going to kidnap children and kill them, it's, you know, it's just a power thing, right? Like, some aspect of their life, they were deemed powerless, and now, and it's probably when they were a child, and now they want to have all the power. They're going to kidnap these kids who have no power. He was probably abused a lot as a kid, that sort of thing. But, like, tell us something.
Yeah,
You
give
know?
me the breadcrumb to explain it. And again, that's where we get back to we're focused on Gwen and Fen rather than the horror, you know, that we're supposed to be afraid of, and that the story is really supposed to be centered around. So
Almost like a mental health aspect of it, a little bit, you know, like you got to deal with the trauma and all this shit, you know.
Yeah.
Also, you know, feel like Dad and just drinking away. And he's like, whoa!
where did that come from?
I'm out here catching strays. I came to save you guys.
Now, granted, again, this is more for the movie one, but like no acceptable reason for this man to have been abusing his kids as much as he was.
Right.
However, like 3 years of like, you know, I just stopped drinking altogether. Like that's effort. It doesn't erase anything you've done before, but like, dude,
Some credits do.
the dude deserved the tiniest sliver of credit, or at least to have not been shit on in that moment. However, that reaction was like the best thing in the movie.
Whoa!
Where did that come from? Fuck you, Dad.
Yeah. Why? Just because fuck you. All right, so
No mercy.
there's a couple jump scares. They were okay.
Yeah, I'm a flinchy person, so anything that was designed to jump scare is going to jump scare me.
What would you say? Half point, 0.75? What do you like?
I mean,
Half?
I expected more jump
like a half.
scares, so let's go for the
Special
half.
effects were good.
Yeah,
Kills and scares lacking. Half.
yeah.
Okay. I like that. All right. The score. Does the music fit the moment? I feel like there wasn't really any music.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you anything that I felt like was really like accompanying any particular scene. I'm sure there
always,
was,
like,
but
the intensity, like sounds.
yeah,
You know that it wasn't often left blank.
yeah. It's like movie production sounds, but not necessarily like a musical soundtrack.
Yeah.
You know, there's no like, you know, high tension violins or anything that you kind of expect from these horror movies or anything like that. It's mostly just like those kind of like bass drop or like dun type of jump scare things.
I don't know, but like I wasn't ever sitting in a moment going like,
This needs sound.
Just needs something.
Well, in a way, do we say like the lack of audio and just kind of like the static that we hear in kind of those film
Static
grain scenes, like
really well. Yeah.
that I think is worth its credit. So maybe we do still get some points on it there.
It's worth up to a point.
Mm-hmm.
So does it get the full? Are we at like a 0.75?
I'd say 7.5. If there was anything that was like a big music crescendo or something I could at least remember from it, I feel like it would have been worthwhile. But like it had cool audio components, but
It's not what you're talking about leaving the movie, but you weren't ever in a moment.
yeah, it was never
desiring
lacking.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we have an established main character? We're a little loose on that in this one. This one's worth up to 2 points. Even if the antagonist of said horror movie is the main character, definitely not. Lack Ethan Hawke too much. Do we care about them? Good character development, etc. I feel like we care about. It's kind of split between Finney and Gwen in this one.
Yeah, they shared it quite a bit.
Definitely started leaning more towards Gwen.
Mm-hmm. She's a superhero, so
Yeah, which isn't a problem. I don't feel like it's a full 2 because not that the antagonist has to be the main character, but if we're just talking about character in general,
yeah, he's almost
You know
a
what?
side character rather than being a main antagonist.
hold that thought.
Yep.
That's better served in the next category. How do we feel about our main characters?
I like our main characters. Felt like we got some good character development out of both of them.
Yeah.
And especially as we're kind of looking at this being a movie too, I think they did a pretty good job of kind of cementing their character changes with getting older, the trauma they dealt with, and then even just throughout this movie, kind of dealing with the new threat. So I liked them, cared about them, thought I could see development throughout them. The lamest thing was just like their shit talking. Was like the cringiest thing ever, and to just be so confident in saying a cringy thing.
It hit better when she was a little girl.
Yeah,
the last
100%.
one, and she was saying crazy, vulgar things.
But now, like, she's supposed to be
Now
like
she's of
16,
age.
17 years old
yeah,
or something, right?
and
So-
she's still saying things that are just crude for an 8-year-old. That's just
Yeah.
yeah. I'm feeling like 1.5, right? Like I feel like splitting the main character duties doesn't quite like we're not. I don't know. I feel like the balance and then the fact that like there is the good development, like you're saying.
Yeah.
in
Well,
the second movie, where a lot of times, it's like, hey, there's no sequel money. There's no money like sequel money,
Yeah.
right? Like they're just a lot of times they're just doing it for the money. This is a well thought out storyline. It felt like anyhow.
and think about it this way too. It's like, are we telling two separate stories because we have split main characters, or are we still telling the same story? You know what I mean? So it's like it definitely had components that like Gwen's story was still centered around the core story, but then had stuff that I think was specific to her with like her mom, right?
Yeah.
And then with Fen, it's kind of like are you kind of embodying your dad? So it's like they kind of have the root story, I think, and then kind of their own personal development stuff that they get in on when it's just Ben doing his stuff, Gwen doing her stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I think that works.
Okay. Works up to 2 points.
I think so.
All right. All right, 4. This is the last question. How impending is the doom? Are the characters constantly in danger, if even unbeknownst to them? How close to home is the doom? Example, guy with knife equals scary in real life. Worth up to 2 points. In this one, it's not quite like I feel like last movie definitely gets the 2.
Yep.
Because of the impending. Again, I wish he was more present, but the fact that he's just upstairs means it's
Yeah.
still pretty impending, and it is very real life, close to home. Here, it's all the paranormal stuff. I don't want to jinx anything and then get raped by a ghost tonight when I go to bed.
Yeah.
But
But the doom conveniently operates at bedtime hours.
yeah, which sort of close to home because when you get scared, you in bed at night, you hear a thing. You fuck's that?
Not me. I'm saying thank God. Take me now.
God, someone's in
Finally. God.
You know, you find out the dog just, you know, is over there scratching his head and, you know, his legs hitting the door. So then that's what the dun, 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 dun is, you know, so then it ends up being nothing but something in it. I feel like it's worth about half of the 2 points, right?
I'd say so.
So, solid 7.
Solid 7. And I'd say so. That feels right.
Yeah. It doesn't feel bad. I mean, that's what we were saying sitting there, right? Is, you know, not awful. You know, desired a little more. 7 pretty much says that.
Yeah. And the fact that this is a sequel, which is basically a, you know, a D20 of, is this going to be any good, or is it going to be just slop to get money and make Ethan Hawke do more horror?
They really didn't make Ethan Hawke do a lot of horror.
No. Well, he doesn't like horror.
I think he does. Why is he in so many then?
Well, he had to be convinced to do Sinister.
Okay.
Like he doesn't watch horror movies. He doesn't like them a lot.
Well, he's so good at it.
He is. He's fantastic at it. I'll add this footnote in for when we talk about the first one. But he had to be convinced to do Sinister, and then he had to be he had to be convinced that like making horror movies was fun, and that it isn't just like this dark, spooky thing. You know, and that it is like very lighthearted and goofy. So.
Huh. Well. All right. I mean, I would watch this again.
I'd watch it again for sure.
Is rare for, you know, a sequel of any kind.
And dare I say it, I would watch this one with my wife, who does not generally like watching horror movies. I think she might be able to stand this one because the intensity isn't there, and because it's you know, super powered. We get to defeat the bad guy type of stuff.
Yeah.
It's the type of climax and resolution.
It almost leans out of horror.
Yeah.
Not all the way, but almost.
It's just closer to thriller, really.
Yeah.
Supernatural
if she could deal
thriller.
with this, she could deal with the first one then, because again, the stakes.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Anyway, thanks.